everyone, welcome back. It's Christine again with the Artist Pod, and today we'll be talking about how to draw a panda. As always, I'm using a Wacom Intuos Pro tablet and I'm drawing straight into Photoshop. So, let's get arting. Alright, so here is the panda, surrounded by and holding a ton of bamboo. I'm also going to have like a circular orangish background behind him that I think is really going to help make him pop. But for now, we're going to start with the panda. I'm going to fill it in all in shadow. So I'm going to start with the white, right, which is the face, and then a little bit on his chest, and then go to the black, which is going to be gray, which is down here. So I'm going to do all of that in shadow. And when I talk about shadow, I mean, you know, it's not full pin pressure. It's not as many lines. It's not full pin pressure. So it's just kind of like this light pin pressure. And I'm going to fully fill that in the direction that I think the hair would be going. It's hard to see over the sketch, right? But if I took that off, right, you know, kind of that going on. Full pin pressure is that, right? Or a lot of lines. Okay, would really fill it in too. So some of this I could use. So I'm going to fully fill it in shadow. Even the green of the bamboo. So that's that backed off pin pressure, and not as many lines, and I will be right back. Also keeping in mind, right, I'm going the direction the fur is going. So just a few things to note, right, as I'm coming up the nose, I usually aim for the corner of the eye. I aim for here. And then of course I can't make it because it goes into black on a panda. I do the same thing on this side, and then up the middle I'll go straight up, and then everything else kind of fills in between. That avoids line conflicts, and then down here I'll go straight down the middle and then angle it off to the sides. But then that's going into black. So yeah, so I'm going to get all of that done and I will be right back. I'm going to add the highlights, because we've already added the shadows, right? So the highlights, easy enough. You just either put full pin pressure or you just add more lines. I'm going to do a combination of adding a little bit of pin pressure and more lines to really flesh this out. Right, and I've already, that's what the purple is, I've already marked where the shadows are. So I'm going to have the light source coming from above and to the right. So there's more shadowing, for instance, on this side of the face, and less on this side of the face. It can help, when you're working on shadows and stuff. I usually do it on the fly, but sometimes it helps because you don't have to put as much thought into it. If you kind of pre-draw them in. If you think about it, then you can sketch and erase without having to worry about making a misstep with, because it's really hard in this particular style to, erase out a section that you don't think you did quite as well. It's easier basically to add highlights than to take highlights away. So sometimes I will pre-draw out shadows just to kind of help me sort out what's what based on my light source. And I don't fully fill them out, partly because, I know where they are. Right, so like this whole area is going to be in shadow. It's on that back side all down here, but I didn't fully, indicate that because I know that. I'm going to go ahead and get the highlights on the white done. So that's how it should look now. So I'm going to get the highlights on the white, which again, it's already sketched, so I'm just sort of following this. And I will be right back. Now we're going to get the gray, it's really black, but I'm going to be a little bit more discerning here or how I'm doing this. So I definitely want to indicate highlight, but I don't want to be overwhelming with it. Still want to make sure this is going to read as black. So to brighten up the gray, I'm actually just adding more lines. I'm not really putting more pin pressure. So it definitely gives it a sense of highlights and shadows, but hopefully won't be or look overwhelmingly bright. And I'll be adding, or I'm going to see how it goes, add some blue just like I have been for some of the other designs too. That may also help with the shadows because I'll be adding blue to them. So just like with the white, I'm just filling in here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the shadows or the highlights on the black, and I will be right back. I changed my drawing a lot from the original. I felt like I was a little overboard with my leaves down here. So I sparsed them down. I think that looks a bit better. Either way, now for the green here. So same thing, except obviously I didn't sketch this part out. So it'll be kind of, well, it'll change depending on what angle the bamboo is being held at, but it'll be kind of in the middle, where that highlight's hitting, a middle and top or middle and, yeah, it depends on that angle. So this we would play by ear, and just considering the light sources above and to the right, and then thinking about how everything we're seeing would be affected by that. So just like before, I'm just going to get the bamboo done real fast, and I'll be right back. Looking very excited with his all of his bamboo. Okay, so now for his eyes. I was just gonna do light flare. I'm gonna fix something actually real fast with his eye. Just a little bit of the way his fur's hitting right here. So their eyes are gonna be brown. Again, I was thinking about just doing it with the light flare, but I think I'm gonna actually draw it in. So start with the pupil, right? Do a little half circle. I'm gonna try that again. Only because I left it, I think, a little too open. Yeah, alright, so yeah, see, that's a little bit more of a half circle. Same thing on this side. Now, I'm just gonna take it and shift it. Yeah. Till it looks like it's looking at us. We'll see once we fill it in. So then I'm going to leave the top dark because it's gonna it's the shadow from the eyelid. So all I'm going to do is come down and fill in the bottom part of the eye here. And then the same thing over here. That come down, have that come down, and then wrap it the full way around the eye. I'm going to take the elliptical marquee tool. It's just a way to make sure that the pupil is nice and clean. I'm going to do it on the other side too, so I'm just going to delete out, select inverse, reselect the brush tool, just draw along the edge, making sure that's nice and light pin pressure so that I fill it in. And I'm going across the lines I already have, that's easier. Select inverse back, reselect the elliptical marquee tool, drag it over, you can see how nice and clean that pupil is now. And do the same thing over here. And then select inverse and do the same thing with the brush tool. And then deselect. Yeah, okay. So now light source coming from above and to the right, so against the pupil on the far side, I'm going to have a nice strong bit of pin pressure to create a burst of highlight. And then on the side of the light source and going all the way underneath, we're going to have the highlight in the iris. Fading out at the edges, right, so that edge. All the edges, including what's going up into shadow up in here. And then on this side, filling it in a little bit, but it should be darker than underneath and on the same side as the light source. Now I am going to take a bit of yellow, make it brighter, and I'm going to do some squiggles right into his eyes. I don't always do this, but it is a really effective way to add a bit more movement and detail to the eye. Makes it look like the muscles of the eye are catching the light. If I do it, it's always a color that's lighter. And sometimes I'll even have it a little bit against the pupil, as if it's catching the sunlight or whatever it is. Yeah, okay. So then the last thing really to add is the light flare in the eyes. It's just where the, light's hitting. So strong bit of highlight in the highlighted section of the eye. And hopefully the left will match the right, which it did not. So the last thing I'm going to do is add a little circular orangish background. But first I need to add a black background to the panda, because the way I draw, you'd be able to see right through it, and I don't want that. So I'm going to add a black background to the panda, which, because I'm ridiculous, just means I'm going to copy all these layers and then merge them down before I start that process, and I will be right back. Right, when you're copying a layer, all you're doing is you're going to grab the layer. I come down here to the plus sign, and now it's copied, and I'm going to turn off the original. There's not very many layers on the pandas, so it's just a matter of doing this. Just so that I don't interfere if I have to change something. I still have the individual layers going strong. Okay, so then I'm going to come down here and turn off these guys and go to layer, merge visible. I'm going to keep you off. Right, so now I have my main layer. I'm going to copy that, drag the copy underneath, go up to image, to levels, drag the level all the way down, hit stroke. Right, so that was edit to stroke, 7 pixels on the inside. I do this a lot. That's how I make sure they print well. 3 in the center, and then 1 on the outside, and I do 1 more for good measure. On the inside, 7. Then I take my magic wand tool and hit select. You just click somewhere off of the image. Now I am going to have to come in here and select where it doesn't reach, because it only selects what isn't blocked, basically. So anywhere where there's a any line that blocks it, it won't fully select it. But I think I think it got everything. Yeah, okay. So then I'm going to select inverse, reselect the magic wand tool, come over here to selected mask, hit that, change the smooth value to 5, start a new layer, and then fill it with black. And then come in and fix any spots that are a little messed up. Right, and just take that select tool and make jagged lines like this. Is a very effective way to mimic fur. And then I can undo this spot here, because that isn't quite right. So I'm going to finish this because this is all it is. It's just doing this. And I will be right back. Now we have our little panda guy. I'm going to select the orange. I'm going to select this. And I'm going to use the magic wand tool to select that. Turn that back off. Come just under it. And I'm going to work within the selection, so this will keep me from going outside of that selection. Just fill it in. Yeah, that really works. Has that kind of rough quality to it. Okay, so now we're going to do just a couple more things. The first of which is I'm going to take that same orange and I'm going to add some highlighting onto the white in areas where I think the light source would be hitting the hardest. So like not in any areas that are shadow and not in the full areas of highlight. Just in spots that I think would be catching the most light. Alright, now we're going to actually go to blue. And I'm going to add in some blue in the shadows and see how it looks. It's a very light pin pressure to do this. Because anything big can really mess this effect up. But blue, even a light blue like this, blue acts as a shadow to us, to our minds. Because blue colors recede, I should say cool colors, not just blue. Cool colors in general recede and warm colors push forward. So I know I used a warm color for the background, but this will still work. Adding in blue to the foreground. And again, just very, very lightly. So if I put too much pin pressure, it will not look like shadow. It will start looking like highlight, which is not what I want. Okay, so I'm just going to go around in a few spots and brighten it up. It's just kind of random spots around. It helps make the blue pop a little bit. But you don't want to be overwhelming. Alright, there we go. There's our panda. Alright, so that's how you draw a panda. I hope that was helpful. In the floating nether next to me, I have other videos of art tutorials I have done. I will see you all soon. Thank you so much. Take care.